I remember when I was a teen, just before entering the Marines, we lived near a cave, and we would love to explore inside of that cave. It was a great mystery to see all the things it had hidden from the world around it. They say the cave would go through the mountain and come out in another state. This reminds me of David, who would become king of Israel. For many reasons, David became a hunted person by King Saul, and he would hide in places like caves and the forest. And 1 Samuel 22 and verse 2, and everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented, gathered themselves unto him, and he became a captain over them, and there were with him 400 men. Sometimes we hear that old phrase that says, misery loves company. I'm not sure that David was asking for all the added misery, but he was not disenfranchised from those who were in need. Distress and contentment would drive a person to hiding away from his pursuers by itself. But when hunted by the king, that would make things much worse. I see another man of God. In 1 Kings chapter 19, the Bible says he's hiding in the cave, fearing for his life, while the king's wife is pursuing him. 1 Kings 19:13, it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out, and stood in the inner of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, said, What are you doing here, Elijah? In verse 9, we find Elijah has ran so hard from Jezebel that he exhausted and finds himself a refuge in a cave, fearing for his life. Now let's remember that Elijah has seen a move of God so great that 400 prophets of Baal turned to serve God. Then he hears the message from the woman that says, I'm going to make your life so miserable that you would wish to die. When we are at a time where everything is falling apart and our life is in jeopardy, that alone would be enough to hide away in a cave. But I want to tell you, my dear friends, that God has a mission for each of us today. And he lets Elijah know that his mission cannot be completed while feeling sorry for himself and hiding in a cave. Elijah had 2 kings to anoint and install to office, and he also had to find a successor for his own ministry. Just because you feel like no one cares and there is no one left but you does not mean we are to give up and sit down feeling sorry for ourselves. In my personal experience, I have come to that place in ministry where I thought I'm too old to be used anymore because pastors don't want old men in their pulpits, and sometimes I was made to believe my time is over. But God has a different view of my life, and it's not over yet. I have come to realize that there are other ways to minister for his kingdom, and so by the grace of God, I am getting out of this cave, and I'm going to do the work of God until he calls me home. Now, if you're in a time of despair or despondency, and you decided to run to a cave to escape, just remember, God has a great way of knowing where you are, and he has more things for you to do. What I am trying to say to us all is, God has us on his mind,